Cashflow Diary Podcast, episode 226.
Welcome to yet another exciting episode of the Cashflow Diary Podcast, the podcast that teaches you insider tips, tactics, and strategies for creating leverage streams of cash flow into your life. Learn from top-performing entrepreneurs, business owners, investors, and thought leaders from across the globe as they share their secrets to success. Like what you learn on this and other Cashflow Diary podcast episodes? Go to learninvestingnow.com and sign up to receive powerful tips and information that will help you succeed as an entrepreneur and investor. Now, here's your host, investor, entrepreneur, business owner, educator, speaker, author, and master facilitator of Robert Kiyosaki's cash flow game, Jay Massey.
Happy Thanksgiving for those of you who are out here in the United States. For those of you who aren't, well, it's a holiday on our side of the planet, but still wanted to bring you some good things. I know many of us are probably eating and enjoying time with friends and family right now, and that's good. There's lots to be grateful for. One of the things I want to make sure that I do mention is that it's also coming up on that season where we go crazy in the United States and start shopping for friends and Christmas and all these other things. And I figured, hey, let's throw our hat into the fray and give you guys something at an incredible deal. So I'm not even going to tell you what it is. I'm going to tell you how to go find out what it is. You can go find out by going over to Twitter. Just go to @Cashflow Diary. We're @Cashflow Diary, and you will see a post on Twitter that will give you a link that shares with you how you can begin to transact apartment buildings and learning to raise capital and doing a lot of the things that, well, a number of our members do. Go check that out at @Cashflow Diary. So what we're going to do today is I'm going to give you a inside look at a presentation that I just did really recently. So I think you're going to be able to glean some new things from it. Even if you've been listening to some of the radio spots I've been doing recently, I think you're going to be able to gain some additional insight. So take some notes, write some stuff down. I don't know. Write an offer too after you're done listening. Let's get started. Let me cover a couple of basic things because these questions always come up. I mentioned that we lost the house. That was February 13th, 2008. Ladies, what's the day after that? Aha! See, you thought you got a bad Valentine's Day gift. This is what I did. All right. So that was that day. The people often ask me, when was the first real estate transaction closed? That was June 18th of 2008. That was a house, 2-bedroom, 1-bath over in San Bernardino. I used subject to purchases in order to do that. Basically, have you ever seen We Take Over Payments? That's kind of what I did there, and raised the capital to be able to do the rehab and put a tenant in there. That's kind of how that went. I started. People then also usually ask, the next question was, when did you start doing multifamily stuff? And that was April of 2010 is when I closed on the first apartment building. So from here to here was about 200 or so single family transactions. Well, actually more than 200 because we had a ton of houses. Anyway, a lot of activity is what I did. I know how to take action. I'm one of the best implementers on this planet. When it comes to moving at the speed of instruction is what I like to call it. I function in a time frame known as now o'clock. I suggest some of you obtain the ability to do the same thing. And we've been in this process of getting rid of the single family houses, almost done, yay, and have been focused on the commercial stuff and commercial and apartment buildings ever since. So let me cover this. I've never used a bank. Any bankers in here? Okay, sorry. I don't know how to fill out a 1003, apply for a loan, never used my own credit, don't know how to do that. I know how to raise capital and buy an asset. That's what I know how to do. So I think that's the majority of the normal questions that people tend to ask, like, wow, how did all of that happen? And what I want to do for you is go through the 7-step system that I've developed that helps a lot of people do the exact same thing once they understand all these other pieces. So how many of you would be excited to learn how to not need to use a bank if you wanted to? Great. How many of you would be able to be excited if you could have more than enough investors come your way, ready to actually hand you money and, more importantly, give you the ability to go out there to do the types of projects you know need doing? But that, yeah, right? Why is it always the project you want to do is the very one the bank will say no to, right? And the one you don't want to do is like, yeah, they'll do that one. Anyway, I just find that funny. And again, I welcome questions and all of the interruptions. Yes. Oh, I thought I saw your hand. Sorry.
Oh, no, sorry.
See, I got eyes everywhere. Eyes everywhere. I am paying attention. So what I'm going to do, like I said, is I want to make sure that you understand some of the things. How many of you have never raised $1, like at all? Like you've never raised any capital whatsoever? Like the idea of talking to someone about using hundreds of thousands of their dollars freaks you out. Yeah, okay, good. Thank you for being honest. And you're probably wondering, why would someone do that, right? Why would anyone do that? Well, it's clear when you consider the situation that we're in. And this is the thing we as real estate entrepreneurs must understand. If you fail to get this, the rest isn't going to matter. Because the only time you and I, as humans, ever give up $1 is to solve a problem. That's it. When you're thirsty, even when you stop at AM PM, you know that bottle of water is $8, but you gonna buy it because you're thirsty. At that moment, it was a great value proposition. When you go to Disneyland, God, they know it, don't they? And you buy it. And by the way, I have 4 children, 19, 7, 6, and 4. Pray for me later. 3 girls, 1 boy. Yeah. I made the mistake recently of going to Build-A-Bear with the small ones. And I was just like, dude, how do we get out of here without spending like $300? It was crazy. It's a bear, but yet it needs skates. Anyway, and they know it. Because you're in the store. How are you going to say no to your kid right there while all the other kids are getting skates? Anyway, I'm on a tangent, but you got my point, right? Here's the deal. We solve a problem in the marketplace when it comes to being real estate investors, right? When you look at this, only 58% of Americans have a job right now. 56% currently covered by employer-provided health insurance. We're not even going to go down there. But look at the median yearly wage in the United States is $26,621. How many of you, how do they, is that in California? You're wondering, where is this? Is that a problem? Is that livable? No, it's not. And that's part of the thing that I'm trying to bring to your attention is that we are real estate entrepreneurs. You must remember this. For some reason, if I said to you, hey, I got a new plan for making markers or widgets, everybody goes, cool, it's a business. But as soon as we say, hey, I want to be in real estate, we throw everything we think we know about business out the window, and we get so fixated on what color the stinking tub is going to be that we forget that it's still a business that has to solve problems and must function under the same rules and laws. And that's what the 7 steps are all about. But you've got to first understand the issue and the problem that we have the ability to solve. Today, there are more than 44 million Americans on food stamps, and nearly half of them are children. Can we do something about this? The answer is yes, you can. Whether you care about that particular group of individuals or not isn't the point. All I'm trying to say is that there's a problem, and you have the ability to solve it. Why? Because you have ideas. How many of you have ever been in a store? You had this happen to you. You're in the store, Walmart, Target, Nordstrom, whatever. You're doing your thing, you're walking down the aisle, and then something catches your eye out of the corner, and you look at that, and you say, I had that same idea. You ever had that happen to you? Yes. You know what that means?
You got great ideas. Every one of you, in my opinion, has $1 million business in their head. The problem is it's only in your head. We've got to get it out of the head, past the heart, and out there to help other people. And I believe very strongly real estate is the place where you can do that. More importantly, this system will help you make it happen. Your retirement plans, how many of you know someone who's just given up on that idea? Like, I'm not going to retire, right? Now, Christina, you're different. You and I are different because we like what we do and we don't plan on stop doing it anyway. But there were people who thought there was going to come this transition. I'm going to do this for a while and then later I'll get to do X, Y, and Z. But that later doesn't seem to be materializing. And here's the standard, here's the challenge. The challenge is that when they were in their working years, they were told to save a bunch of money, a big pile of cash, right? And that's the problem. So I'm going to illustrate something for you mathematically that might help you understand why cash flow is so much more important than a big pile of cash. All right, so here we go. I'm gonna do a couple of things here. I'm gonna switch this there, and that did not happen like I was hoping. That is not what I was expecting to see. Let's try this and that with this, and there we go. And it's still gray. 1 second. Is that better? Excellent. And the calculator. Can you see that now? Yes. Awesome. All right. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to do some math. Don't tune out on me, right? I know I said the M word. How many of you like money? Excellent. How many of you like math? How many of you realize that math and money are the same? How many of you now like math? Exactly. Okay, so here we go. So here's where I'm coming from. Let's pretend for a second you only wanted to earn $100 per month. But you want to earn this money without getting up, without working, without sitting on the 4 or 5 hours just to get here, you know? Let's just pretend that might be something you want to do. $100 a month, is that going to pay for anything? Maybe your cell phone bill. Maybe, if you only have one. Right? Okay. What's that? It's not with Verizon, right? Exactly. What's that? Yeah, T-Mobile. Yes, I'm in. There it is. Okay, so $100. Let's just start here, though, because I want to show you the value of $100 a month. $100 a month. It's not going to really float your boat and change your life. All right, but let's just look at it differently. How much is that if I was looking at that on an annual basis? You can do that math. That's $1,200. See, $1,200. See, I told you it's working already. Already smarter. Here's what we're going to do, though. What I'm going to do is that I'm going to go over and look at bankrate.com real fast. Excellent. Because I want you to see something that you might not have considered before. So what I'm doing really quickly is that I'm looking for the absolute, I'm trying to make it bigger too, the absolute best rate I can find on a certificate of depression, also known as a certificate of deposit. And we're going to just compare, because that's all I can do is just compare to see what that would, like, how much money would I have to have in the bank to make this work. So let me see. The best rate I see is 2.45%. Do you see a number that is higher? I do not. Can you even see that? Yes, you can. Good. It's working. So I see 2.45%. So let's pretend there's no such thing as taxes. Okay? Let's pretend there's no such thing as inflation. How much money do I need to have in the bank in order to earn $1,200 a year? Who knows how to do the math? Okay, I'm going to show you. Simple. All you got to do is divide by the interest rate that you're receiving. That's it. So all I'm going to do is go back over here to the calculator, take the 1,200 divided by 2.45%, and that's going to give me $48,979.59. Okay, he says 49,000. We'll round up. That means I got to pay all my bills. I got to do everything I normally do and put an additional $50,000 to the side. See, I rounded up again. An additional $50,000 to the side to hopefully get 100. How's that going? It's kind of tough, right? And this is the very thing that most people were told to do. That's what they were told to do. Use a 401k to go out there, or IRA, work really hard, save a whole bunch of money, get a big pile of cash, and then hopefully that pile of cash will be there later to help you. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Do any of these IRAs deal with stocks, bonds, and other kinds of?
Yeah.
So, you people make 6% in the stock market.
Absolutely. So you want to do it with 6%? Would that make you feel better? Yeah. Okay, sure. Let's do that. So now we are going to 6%. That's awesome. Okay. Now we're not going to talk about the financial intelligence required to get that 6%, but we're just going to say 6%. So now we're going to take that same $1,200, divide that by 6%, and you know what? You only need an extra $20,000 now. That sounds better. Except it's still only $1,200 a year. Do you hear what I'm saying? It sounds, yeah, cool. Now I'm down to $20,000. That's great. You save the 20 and the best you can get is a hamburger. This is the challenge. It's how we invest our time that doesn't produce a high enough return. We're investing our time, which is our number one asset, to go directly for cash, which is not an asset. It's actually a debt instrument. It actually becomes worth less over time. Talk to anyone who's worked any amount of time. Like, is someone willing to admit that they were working in 1974? I happen to pick that year because that's the year I was born. And will you tell us what you were earning as a wage? Because I'm curious. Yes?
I was working as a lifeguard and I had no idea what I was working as a lifeguard that summer.
But the idea, okay, so the idea of earning, would an idea of earning $100,000 in 1974 have been worthwhile?
The idea of it, that was incomprehensible.
Like, why? How on earth would I spend all that money? Right? Today, you're like, that's gone in 3 months. Right? How many of you remember or even know what it cost to mail a letter in 1974? How much? It's 10 cents. Yes, exactly. How much does it cost today? More. More. You might have been better saving stamps. I'm just saying, you might have done better saving stamps. Because if you save dollars, you got to spend more to get the same value. It's what I'm really talking about is what's known as purchasing power. That's what I'm really talking about. How much time, effort, and energy did it take for you to put aside the $40,000, or in his case, $20,000? How much time? How long do you have to work to do that? Based upon what you're doing today. See, the advantage that real estate has is that, one, you can do the work once. And then you have this maintenance period that you're always checking in on it. See, today, because of all the systems I have in place, it takes me approximately 45 minutes a week to manage my portfolio because of all the systems I have in place, which is kind of cool. Hourly rate is through the roof, right? At that point. The point is, I have my time because we took the time to build assets that produce cash flow, not just cash, right? So the key thing to understand in this particular situation is, one, return on investment. This number is important. The higher, the better. Clearly, because you don't need as much money. But this is something I want to illustrate for you. How many of you are very comfortable with the situation of having no money in the bank? You are familiar with that more than you wish you were, right? Okay, so let me ask you this question. Did you raise your hand?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, excellent. Patrick,
Yep.
let me ask you this question. Let's pretend for a second. Today is the 19th. All right, on the 1st of this month, or this coming month, December, there's $10,000 that's going to be deposited in your account. Now, here's the rules. You have to spend every dollar. And if you fail to spend every dollar, on January 1st, no more money is coming. But if you spend every dollar, on January 1st, another $10,000 is going to be deposited in your account. Patrick, serious question. Can you make that work?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. How much hesitation was in his voice? How many of you can make that work? So then it doesn't matter how much money you have in the bank, does it? Because I just said if you have $0 in the bank and you're required to spend every dollar that comes in, so long as you do, another 10 grand shows up. You just told me I could make that work. What you've just admitted without realizing it is that you need an asset or assets that can do that for you. That's really what it comes down to. The only thing I invest my time in is building assets. That's it. An ebook's an asset. Every idea that comes out of your head is an asset. If you learn how to package it, how to promote it, so that other people can also take advantage of it as well. The challenge is we get a little idea stingy and we think we've got the best primo idea, and you might, but I have seen ideas get better when they're shared, and that's the key. All right, so let's get down to this. If you've got that on straight, then you will begin to understand where I'm going. I'm going to skip. You get the fact that no one's retiring anytime soon. We're getting to the 7-step process. There's the 7-step process. We're going to go through all 7 of these really, really quickly so that you have an understanding of the overview of what it is that you have to do as a real estate entrepreneur. Notice how I've changed the word. You don't hear me say real estate investor. You hear me say real estate entrepreneur because I need you to think like a business owner, not just like what normally happens, an investor or just a fix and flipper or, I do probate. By the way, that doesn't tell me anything about your business other than how you buy your inventory. Okay? Just keep that in mind. That's the only thing you've communicated. You've told me how you buy your inventory. Cool. Well, how do you actually make money? That's what I want to know, right? When I'm trying to help someone. So when it comes down to it, every real estate entrepreneur has 3 customers. How many? 3. How many? 3 customers. You have 3 primary people that you are serving, right? Here's the fun part. This is where you get to choose. You get to choose which ones. Number 1, you have buyers. People who want to buy something from you, period. That's all they want. They just want to buy it from you and then run it themselves, do their own thing. Maybe they mess it up and sell it back to you later. It doesn't really matter. They just want to buy something from you. Second person is sellers. They have something they don't want. Usually a piece of real estate. It could be land or a cell phone tower. Okay? It can be all kinds of things. They just don't want it. And they don't want it for a myriad of reasons. And then you have investors, people who have more money than they know what to do with. Or, better said, they have money, but would rather use their money in someone else's system than their own knowledge and time. Let me illustrate.
I know you want to get to that illustration, and I promise we'll get you there in just a small moment. But what I want to do is, again, I want to remind you to go over to @Cashflow Diary. We're at Twitter. Go Twitter/Cashflow Diary. Twitter/Cashflow Diary. Twitter.com/Cashflow Diary. You'll be able to catch up with something that we are running special. It'll only be up there this weekend. So you probably should go check it out now. Use your mobile device to go figure it out and make it happen. Anyway, have you ever thought about where or which of those persons you wanted to be, which are the ones you actually are, and the skills and habits and roles that are required in order to turn yourself into someone different than what you currently are. I don't know if you think about that, but sometimes when I share the information you just heard with people, it gives them an opportunity to go, oh, that's what I'm supposed to be doing. Maybe that just happened for you. Not really sure. But hey, let's get back to it.
These are the 4 primary components that you're going to need. Please remember this, write this down. If you haven't been taking notes, now's the time. It's knowledge, time, money, and credit. What is it? Knowledge, time, money, credit. Those are the 4 basic components that you must have. They are in every deal. Here's the great news. You personally need only to possess 1. You can leverage for the rest. And here's why. Real estate trumps everything else for one major reason. How many of you have ever seen the show Shark Tank? Yes? Awesome. I call that the best education on TV, right? The one thing that real estate has, because when those entrepreneurs are coming in, there are 2 things that the sharks are always asking for. 2 things. What are they? What's that? Sure, they're asking for equity, but what are they asking for from the entrepreneur in terms of if they're going to make an investment?
How much have they sold?
Whoa, somebody, yeah, I heard it. I heard you said.
How much have they sold?
Yeah, how much they sold. Someone said revenue. They're looking for sales, right? You know why? Sales says this concept is proven, period. They're looking for POC, proof of concept. Prove to me that someone's actually going to buy this. Well, here's what's great about real estate. How many of you realize that even my 7-year-old gets the fact that people live in houses? Right? She's got the concept. How long has that been the case? A long time. Real estate is useful because everybody needs a place to live, work, play, or lay. You live in a piece of real estate when you go home. Even when you're camping, you're on a tent on somebody's real estate. Okay? Right? Every time you go to the movies, the amusement parks, Universal Studios, Disneyland, it's real estate. By the way, Disney, the company as we know it today, would not exist if Walt didn't figure out Disneyland, because that's how they were able to continue to produce all the movies that we still love and enjoy. That's what stabilized the company, not the movies. Until he managed to pull Disneyland together, the company was constantly in financial trouble. Constantly. Live, work, so that was live, work, play. Well, yeah, you work in a piece of real estate, right? That's just going to happen. Now, I'm going to say this next place where I said lay. This is, in my opinion, this is the next booming real estate market, but nobody is talking about it today. I am here to tell you, I'm thinking in about 8, maybe 10 years, you are going to be up late one night, and the words that I am about to say to you are going to come out on the TV, and you're going to go, dang it, I shoulda. Because what has the death rate been since the beginning of time? It's 100%. It's really good. There's 2 who have managed to escape. You are correct. You are 2. So I should say the death rate since Jesus, right? Yeah, okay. There are 2 who have managed. Elvis is still alive somewhere, right? Jimmy Hoffa, possibly. But you get my point. The death rate has been 100%. Now, if you follow a certain demographic through their lifespan, you will see that every time this demographic touches this area of the economy, that area of the economy absolutely explodes. Baby boomers. I'm telling you, in about 8 years, you're going to hear late night, buy my 1995 course on how to own a funeral home and make a ton of money. I am not kidding. It's going to happen because they're going to need a place that's called their final resting place, which is still real estate. They're going to need it. It's going to happen. But who in here is brave enough to go buy the land today? Who's willing to start you can't tell me, you can't say, no, they're not going to die. They're all going to live. And I mean, what are you going to, I'm just saying, it is guaranteed. You want a guaranteed customer? I just gave you like 60 million of them. Right? Just saying. All right. The point I'm making here is that when it comes to real estate, proof of concept is already handled. You don't have to prove the concept because it's not new. Everybody gets it. That's why everybody's willing to participate. That's why you're here. That's why there are bankers and lenders and private money. That's why all of these individuals want a piece of the real estate pie. It's because it's a proven concept. If I came here tonight with a different type of, cell phone, you'd be like, dude, how are you going to beat Apple? That'd be one of the first questions. Because if I was on Shark Tank with a new cell phone, that'd be one of the first questions. How are you going to beat the people who are already there? Right? Real estate already has proof of concept. What that means is that gives you and I uncommon access to something that has the ability to produce immense value. Because we assign a lot of value to the place that we stay, especially here in California. Land value through the roof, absolutely insane, in my opinion, okay? Knowledge, time, money, and credit. You need one of them, just one. You can leverage for the rest. The key thing here is this right here. And you've seen something like this before. Or some of you. How many of you have seen this or something similar to this before? Yes? How many of you have not? Okay, we've forgotten the first rule of 100% participation, so there was only 2 answers. Let's try it again. How many of you have seen something like this before? How many of you have not? Awesome! Thank you. That's all I'm after. I'll tell you what it is. It's called the Cashflow Quadrant. It just simply means, made famous by Robert Kiyosaki, just simply means there's about 4 ways in a capitalistic society. Now, despite what you think about the people in that White House on 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, we still have a capitalistic society at the moment. Therefore, there are about 4 different people who participate and who are able to earn money. In this case, E stands for the employee. They trade time for dollars. You're probably familiar with this person. You might be this person, but I give you permission to change. S is the small business owner, self-employed person. This person usually has a license for their job in some way, shape, or form, some sort of a certification. So this could be your mechanic. This could be the doctor. This could be the attorney. This could be the loan officer. All those types of jobs that typically require some sort of certification. And then there's the B, business owner. He or she owns, and please write this down, owns or controls the means of production, also known as a system. Owns or controls. Did I say invents? No. Did I say runs? No. I said owns or controls the means of production. The means of producing a good or service for the use of other people and their enjoyment. That's what they own or control. An investor typically uses their cash to go out there and come back with some more friends. Now watch this. When you graduated high school, the E is the employee. Okay. When you graduated high school, how many of you, by a show of hands, went to an entrepreneurial fair? Entrepreneurial fair? What did you go to? Job fair. So you were taught to be what? And who provided that job? The business owner did, right? Interesting. So let's keep going. The attorney, who is really the client that they're seeking that typically is going to need their services again and again and again so that they have a consistent income? The business owner. Interesting. Now, the investor has already made their money or has made some money, and they don't want to use their time and energy anymore to do something different. They just want to use their money to go out there and come back with more friends. So what they're looking for is somebody who's built or owns and controls a system that has the ability to produce money without the investor having to use their knowledge and time. Who might have that? The business owner. Is anyone noticing something interesting? Who's the one person that keeps everything going? So who's the one creating the value? Who's the one creating the value? You are. If you're the real estate entrepreneur. Why? Because there are more people looking for a job than more people providing them. Because there are more attorneys, especially in California, than we need and who are looking for clients than there are people who have work for them to do. Here's the big one that you're really messing up. You realize that there's more money than there is experience? There's more money than there is experience. Now, you remember basic economics. What happens when there's an oversupply? What to price? It goes down. So why on earth are you still paying 10, 12% on your money? There's an oversupply. I'm just asking. There's an oversupply. Because if supply is high, that should mean the cost would be cheap. What are interest rates? Free. Especially once you consider inflation. The signs, the clues are there. You're just not operating from that position because you don't even realize how much value you're creating. Because you might not have realized that, hey, I'm the one creating your job. The reason the attorney has the opportunity, the privilege of writing up yet another company formation document is because I've decided to buy another building. Again. The reason your 401k, your IRA, which by the way is one of the best places to find your money, is the reason your 401k IRA has a shot at something better than 6% or at least 6% is because it might participate directly with something that I'm doing. Does that make sense? And do you realize that the only thing you had to come up with was the idea? Hey, let's take this building and do that. Because clearly people live in buildings. You don't even have to be, and this is why I do real estate, because I'm not smart enough to be an inventor. I just can't, I'm just like, dude, yeah, I can use an iPhone, but don't ask me to invent one. That's just not going to happen. I don't even know if I have that kind of patience, right? I'm just like, dude, but I can use one. Many of you have passed many opportunities on the way home. The next time you're at a stoplight, I want you to pay attention. I want you to look at the light and then follow that light because it's usually attached to something. And then look the light all the way down. It's going to be attached to the ground, also known as real estate. And that's a real estate transaction. You're just not being paid on it. The next time you're on the 241 or any toll road, I want you to think about something. It's probably privately owned. And that $3 or $6 or $8.50, depending on what time you're going, it just didn't come to you. Just keep that in mind, that went to someone. These are those people that you never hear of, but have, they're the ones receiving that income. The only difference is that they realized this and did something about it. They realized that they were entrepreneurs and they had 3 different types of people that they had to go out there and find: buyers, sellers, and investors. And they went out there and made that happen. That's it. There's nothing different. They are just as fallible. Okay? They make the same silly mistakes. We all do. It's kind of funny, actually. The point is, the only thing that's in your way is your addiction. Now, some of you just had a reaction to that word, and that's cool. But I submit, if you haven't seen the results you're looking for, it's because you're addicted to one thing. How many of you want to know what it is so I can set you free? right? You're addicted to looking good. You cannot learn and look good at the same time. You ever watch a 3, 4, 5-year-old, 2-year-old learn to walk? Do they look good? No, at that stage we call it, oh, that's cute. Except now you're 40 and ain't so cute. That's it. Does the 2-year-old care that you're laughing at him? No. Why? Because it doesn't matter. Now, here's another way of looking at this. Anyone, parents? Yes? Parents? Where are my parents at? Excellent. Here's a question. If your child came to you when they were 2, while they were trying to learn to walk, and said, hey, Mom, Dad, I tried this walking thing, and it just ain't working out. I took like 2 steps and I fell. I think I'm just going to crawl the rest of my life. Why are you laughing? Why is that laughable? Because it doesn't happen. Why? What would you say as the parent? Would you say, okay, son, I guess we're just going to have to get you a stroller and make it bigger as you grow? I mean, what? But yes, you like it is not even, it's not an option. You know why it's not an option? Because it's an activity for daily living. You have this is, son, you walk, you have 2 legs, you're supposed to walk. That's what happens. Period. It's not even a consideration. Yet, you write an offer. They say no. This real estate thing doesn't work. You talk to one investor. They say, I don't think that's the right deal for me. You go, there must be something wrong with me or the deal. This real estate thing doesn't work. You actually get up the courage. You stroke a check. It goes south. The money is gone. And you say, guess it's time to try stocks. And then you quit. Because you were trained between kindergarten and 12th grade to get it right the first time, and to never ask for help. And unfortunately, you think that's actually how this entrepreneur thing works. Not met one entrepreneur who's not learned how to fail. And that's the number one skill set you've forgotten. How to fail. You need to learn how to fail fast, forward, and frequently. Say that with me. Fast, forward, and frequently. That's it. Because, see, you failed before, but it took you 3 years to get back on the horse. You failed, and in fact, here's in today's world, what happens, especially with Google, before you try something, you research it, and you find out all the people who failed, and you go, oh, nah, I'm not going to try that, because they failed. No matter how many examples are surrounding you of people who have actually figured it out, you still go, I guess I can't make that happen. And I find that interesting. But the only reason I'm the one talking today is because I failed more than you. Promise. Who's lost at least $100,000? 200, 300, 400, $500,000, 1 million, 1.5, 2. Oh, I can keep going. Do you get my point? I had some bad experiences, but I'm still here. Because you only need one of those resources: knowledge, time, money, and credit. Do you know what a failure event is? Your first attempt in learning. What are the first letters of that spell? First attempt in learning. Got it? Here's the point. You just paid full price for the lesson. That's what you just did. And then you're going to throw it away? Especially today. Here's the great thing about failure, especially today because of iPhones and technology. And is the Periscope thing still going? Yeah. Hey, because of all of that. Here's your worst case scenario today. You try something and it doesn't work. You can create an ebook that says, before you try this, learn what I did wrong and sell it for $19, and I promise you, you will be able to make your money back. Worst case scenario. You think I'm kidding? I'm just telling you, it's there. Here's my point. I want you to try, because that's the thing holding you back, is that you're afraid. When we're afraid, any excuse will do. I'm about to go through the rest of these steps, and you know what's going to happen for some of you? You're going to get afraid, because I'm going to tell you to step out of the person that's currently the version of you that's sitting in this chair can't do what you want. You must go to you 2.0. And for most people, that's scary.
Well, I'm hoping for you, it won't be. I will bring you the rest of this particular event on Monday. Until next time.